Nadu. And as you said, there's also there are 750 students who built one satellite that will also be launched into the space today. So all eyes on at Sriharikota on how the launch takes off. It's a 15-minute flight, and that will be very crucial. They've taken corrective steps, and ISRO is confident that this time around it will be a successful one.
Absolutely. Now, there are 3 satellites on board. Tell us more about those satellites and about the agencies that have been involved in it.
Well, there are 3 satellites that will be launched. One, of course, is designed by 750 students. Remember, they are from across the country, from Tamil Nadu to Jammu and Kashmir. We've seen 750 students participate, and it's a private company based out of Chennai that's also responsible for building the satellite. Remember, ISRO is also ready to tie up with private companies that are into space, and one of them is the Space Kids based out of Chennai in T Nagar, and they are also with the help of 750 students. They've also built a satellite, and this is primarily SSLV-D2. The objective is to design and develop payload instruments compatible with new technologies and microsatellite buses that will be helpful for future satellites, for operating future satellites as well. So that's how it's been designed. There are 3 satellites, and these will be launched today because the advantage of SSLV-D2 is to accommodate multiple satellites. So 3 satellites will be put into a 450-kilometer circular orbit, and that's a 15-minute flight. We'll have to wait and see how successful it is. But one of the satellites is built by 750 students from across the country, and all the students have gathered there at Sriharikota to witness this successful launch. Indeed, a historic moment for the country.
Absolutely. Purnima, do stay with us. We'd also like to welcome our guest, Dr. S.K. Dhaka, who is a former DRDO scientist. Now, remember, the Defense Research Development Organization and the Indian Space Research Organization are the 2 spearheads of India's research and development sectors. Mr. Dhaka, once again, thank you for joining us. What can you tell our viewers about the kind of preparation that goes into a launch like this?
Yeah, good morning, and thank you very much. As you said, that we are all excited. Maybe nearly after 15 minutes from now, and we are ready for this second flight. So let me tell you briefly that what exactly happened about like 6 months ago, when the first flight, SSLV, that is like a small satellite launch vehicle, and it was basically quite successful. The only problem was left that on the last stage, there was some terminal velocity problem. But this problem probably is all resolved. Everything was normal even in the last flight, but now everything is resolved, and then we are capable of really launching this SSLV with 3 satellites. So one is that EOS Earth orbit satellite, and as you mentioned that it is a low Earth orbit, nearly like 450-kilometer circular orbit. The problem was with the previous one was that it became a bit elliptical. We thought it will go exactly circular around like 450, but because of the terminal velocity problem, then it really went off from that circular orbit, and then it did not work very well. But we are ready exactly for this. So as I was talking about that, we are having 3 satellites, EOS-7. Then there is another one from a startup from US company. And the most important is that the students from our country, about like 750 students, and I think many schools they were enrolled. So they further selected about like 15-20 students, and they especially made this Space Kids small satellite, and this is less than 10 kilogram. It's very good for us, very good for our country students, and it is really very exciting moment for us.
Absolutely, Mr. Dhaka. Now, after last year's test flight of the SSLV saw partial failure, what, in your opinion, were the changes that were needed to be made to the satellite launch vehicle so that we don't see the same problem occur?
Yeah, in fact, there are like 3 solid propellants, and the last phase there was a liquid propellant. And the first, after first solid propellant, everything was okay in the last, but in the second, there was a problem. So then it went on an automatic salving phase, but those are resolved, and we are pretty sure that in this particular time that, as I mentioned earlier, that everything was okay, everything was normal, except the last terminal, the velocity which is supposed to be injected to the satellite. so that it can go exactly in the circular orbit. That was the problem. We could not do that successfully. But those problems are analyzed, the data are analyzed, and now it is resolved. So we are 100% sure that the things will be very normal today.
Absolutely. Mr. Dhaka, do stay with us. We're going to take a look at an exclusive chat that CNN News 18's Anand Narasimhan had with some of the girls who developed one of the satellites that will be in space today. Take a look.
This entire endeavor was a Kashmir to Kanyakumari endeavor. 750 girl students. How did this happen?
It was a dream, I should say, to bring in, connect all the girl children from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. In fact, I wanted to do this as a physical session where, bring in all the 750 to Chennai and teach them the entire nuances of building the satellite. What is a satellite? What is a rocket? What is a payload? And, teach them everything and then get this payload built. But unfortunately, due to COVID, we had to do everything online, but
Wow.
Nevertheless, I did not want to step back. And, when I gave this proposal, I was in the ICCO. And I gave the proposal from there and I said, I am not going to kick the bucket before we launch this satellite. I have to get this done. And I was so thrilled that ISRO accepted our proposal.
Tell us, what is this satellite about and what is it that these girls have built?
Okay.
Before I get chatting with them.
Communication. This is basically a communication satellite. And the highlight of it is we wanted to get these children understand, what is space, what is a satellite. It is not a very big payload that they have built. It's simple payloads. But anything that is built hands-on, that remains in there forever. So that is the impact we wanted to create. And I would say this is more than a scientific journey. It is building a character entirely of theirs. Girls boldly coming out and doing something. Because
Yes.
we've got children from interior villages, wherein parents did not allow them for the extra class also. I'm having children from Ladol, Gujarat, and I'm having St. Francis, Sikandrabad, Telangana. So I'm having these two schools here.
What is your contribution to this satellite?
We participated in Azadi Sat satellite launching project and felt like scientists. We got information about importance of satellites and how it's work in our life.
Lovely. और फिर पीएम मोदी से आप कब मिली?
10th जून को अहमदाबाद भोपाल इसरो स्पेस सेंटर में।
तो फिर उन्होंने क्या पूछा आपसे?
जो हमने वो पेलोड बनाया था वो कैसे वर्क करता है और उसमें क्या क्या है वो सब मुझे नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने पूछा था।
समझाइए मुझे, व्हाट इज द पेलोड? चलिए आपका टेस्ट लेते हैं।
हाँ, वो हमारा पेलोड था। उसमें वन ग्रीन कलर का माइक्रो कंट्रोलर था। जैसे इंसान में दिमाग काम करता है, वो शरीर को
शरीर को कंट्रोल करता है।
यस, जैसे सैटेलाइट में वो ग्रीन माइक्रो कंट्रोलर एज अ माइंड के जैसे कंट्रोल करता है। और उसमें हमारे पेलोड में दो सेंसर थे, एक था IMU सेंसर और एक था एनवायरनमेंट सेंसर। वो दो सेंसर्स स्पेस में जब सैटेलाइट जाएगा, रॉकेट में जब वो स्पेस में जाएगा तो वो एनवायरनमेंट सेंसर वो स्पेस के आसपास वो सब एनवायरनमेंटल ह्यूमिडिटी, टेम्परेचर, प्रेशर ये सब डिटेक्ट करके वो अर्थ पर ट्रांसमिट करेगा।
One of you can tell me what is it that you built?
We are the team from St. Francis. So we have started working on this payload from last 1 year, and this was been such a wonderful experience for us as total 75 schools were participating and 750 girls were taking part in this. The team has helped us very much in programming the satellite. They have sent us the payloads, and firstly they have sent us a link and they have taught us how to connect this payload. Then they have given us some guidelines, and following that guidelines, we were successful in connecting the payload, and we have checked the temperature and humidity. We were successful, and finally we have sent these payloads to the team. And finally, from 75 schools, they collected all the payloads.
We have come up with a beautiful space song wherein a village girl dreams. We've taken Tanvi as an example, and like Tanvi, all these kids as an example who dreams to go to space.
Now, we continue to have Dr. S.K. Dhaka, who is a former DRDO scientist, with us, but right now we're heading into a very short break. We'll return with our guest in just a few minutes, and right now we're also showing you the visuals from the Satish Dhawan Space Center. Stay tuned, because the launch is slated to happen at 9:18 a.m.
And made some startling revelations in that affidavit. According to the NIA, the PFI is a secret wing of reporters to collect details of leaders of other communities and prepare a list of targets. Referring to some of the murders committed by PFI cadre in Kerala, the NIA claimed in its affidavit that victims were randomly selected by the leadership of PFI, they were studied, permissions were given to attack and kill the victims brutally so as to send a message of terror. Some PFI leaders and cadre had propagated the ideology of ISIS, and youths were encouraged to join terror outfits like the Lashkar-e-Taiba, Al-Qaeda and ISIS. The probe also revealed suspicious transaction of funds that were used for unlawful activities. Now, at the end of the day, the Popular Front of India is only another version, or a renamed version, if you will, of the Students' Islamic Movement of India, or SIMI. SIMI too was declared a banned terrorist organization way back in 2001. And just like the PFI's plan was to create an Islamic state, SIMI's aim was to quote-unquote liberate India through jihad. When SIMI was banned, the PFI rose and it further spread its wings, launching its political arm, the Social Democratic Party of India, the SDPI, and the student wing, the Campus Front of India. So whether it is SIMI or PFI or any other name, they have a history of molding this organization into something new and spreading the same hate. Let me now go across to our guests who are joining us. PK Jain is former IPS officer, Binay Kumar Singh, author and researcher, Atikur Rahman, Islamic scholar, also joining us. Atikur Rahman, the question that stares everyone in the face is, here is an organization that claimed to represent Indian Muslims. Here is an organization that said that Indian Muslims are victimized and the only way out is to, take jihad against the Indian state. Why should the Indian government not have proscribed this organization, banned this organization, ensured that all the members of this organization are put behind bars and all its assets and properties are attached?
Zakka, what I feel with this charge sheet and what you are claiming about PFI is, I was the one every time I have, supported the PFI, and now the government of India has banned it. Our support, my support especially, is only to such organizations which are constitutional in nature. The moment the government agencies establish that they are into, some illegal activities or unconstitutional activities, it's a far-fetched phenomena that any Muslim group, organization will be supporting such organization, period. The moment we say that the constitution is supreme in India and the constitution is workable, the government is ensuring everything related to constitution. There is no theory of any Islamic state.
But Atikur Rahman, why then were certain, even political parties that had been in power, why were they looking the other way to the activities of this notorious group of people?
This is a big question, Zakka, wherein the political parties, need to answer this. Furthermore, since so many years we are discussing PFI, but why was it not banned if the charges are so serious? Along with it, Zakka, I would say the Vision 2047 document I have in my hand right now, which was given to me in Delhi by some PFI workers when I was in some studios of India channel. This is the Vision 2047. Nowhere it is mentioned that the PFI is into unconstitutional measures or they want to form Islamic.
Welcome back. We return with our guest, Mr. Dhaka, and remember the launch is going to take place in just a few minutes from now. It's 9:15. We have about 2.5 minutes left. The visuals are playing out right now. Let's listen into a bit of that. Mr. Dhaka, one other very important aspect of the story is that the 8.7 kg satellite, the Azadi Sat-2, is a combined effort of about 750 girl students across India who have been guided by Space Kids India. Tell us about what you think about this marvelous feat.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. It's really amazing that it's not only that they are coming from the really mega cities, but they are coming from the remote areas. And this is something really we must appreciate because these scientific brains, they are everywhere. And if you can pick up those from the small places and from remote areas and bring them together and to give them, it's a great opportunity for them. And they are working together. They are learning how to work in a team, and they would be definitely excited. And because you are providing a platform to them, that what do you mean by a sensor? So suppose if you want to focus a particular area, for instance, like the green area, how much we are having the green forest. So they know that what should be the frequency range. In that particular frequency range, they need to develop a particular sensor. And similarly, that if you want to focus on the oceans, you want to focus on the sea area or coastal area, it is a great learning experience for those girls. And surely, you remember even in the last, I think this PSLV launch, we were having that lady project manager, the Chandrayaan-2, and then those missions. So that show the power of the girls in India. And I'm particularly, personally, I'm also really very excited and very proud that our government of India, under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister, all these things are happening, giving great opportunities to those who are in
Absolutely,
general.
Mr. Dhaka, do stay with us. We're about to see the launch.
Yeah.
Minus 25 seconds. Minus 20 seconds. Minus 15. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Beautiful launch of SSLV-D2 US 07 on a bright sunny morning.
Event tracking.
प्रज्वलन और सफलतापूर्ण उत्थापन SSLV-D2 प्रोमोचकयान का अपनी उद्दिष्ट कक्षा की ओर SSLV-D2 US7 मिशन.
We have confirmation from the Range Operations Director of the normal performance of Stage 1, which means close to 2,600 kilonewtons thrust. 87 tons of solid propellant burns for 115 seconds.
भारत के आज़ादी के अमृत महोत्सव को दर्शाता भारत का एक और महत्वपूर्ण मिशन दिन के उजाले में दूर तक दिखाई दे रहा है. बहुत से दर्शक आंखों देखा अनुभव लेने यहाँ उपस्थित हुए हैं. ये अपने आप में एक अविस्मरणीय अनुभव होता है. सभी की धड़कनें तेज.
Shato is in main auto.
Plus 1 minute.
Apart from the launch-based radars, telemetry and tracking stations at Shar, Bangalore, Trivandrum are currently tracking.
जैसे जैसे यान ऊपर जा रहा है, हम देख रहे हैं इसके सभी तंत्र सामान्य निष्पादन कर रहे हैं और यान निर्धारित दिशा की ओर अपने आप को नियंत्रित करता हुआ आगे जा रहा है.
The flex nozzle of stage is imparting the pitch and yaw control functions, whereas the roll control is by fin tip control.
यान अपेक्षित पथ का अनुकरण करता हुआ
On your TV screens, the simulation of the flight. The separation of SS1 will follow the ignition of second stage.
कुछ ही क्षणों में द्वितीय चरण का प्रज्वलन हो प्रथम चरण को पृथक कर दिया जाएगा.
Second stage ignited, first stage separated, 2C separated.
द्वितीय चरण का प्रज्वलन शुरू हो चुका है और प्रथम चरण को सफलतापूर्वक पृथक कर दिया गया है.
The second stage of the rocket has commenced its operation and the first stage has been separated.
Performance normal.
Burn time for SS2 is 124 seconds. This rocket stage with carbon fiber motor case contains 7.7 tons of HTPB based solid propellant.
ऊष्मा कवच को पृथक कर दिया गया है. अब हम प्रमोचन से 177 सेकंड की दूरी पर आ चुके हैं. अभी ऊंचाई 182 किलोमीटर है तथा सापेक्ष गति 2.6 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड.
The closed loop guidance has been initiated and the payload fairing has been separated. The course correction of the launch vehicle takes place through a feedback loop.
Performance normal.
SS2 द्वितीय चरण सामान्य निष्पादन करता हुआ. SS2 चरण का प्रज्वलन पूर्ण होने के पश्चात 140 सेकेंड का कोस्ट फेज शुरू होगा. इस कोस्ट फेज में बिना किसी प्रज्वलन के प्राप्त संवेग से यान 423 किलोमीटर की ऊंचाई प्राप्त करेगा.
Shar, Bangalore continue to track. Trivandrum and Port Blair stations have started to acquire the data.
Second stage action completed.
द्वितीय चरण का प्रज्वलन काल समाप्त हो गया है तथा कोस्ट फेज जारी है.
Vehicle is in combined hosting and performance is normal.
Including a coast phase of 138 seconds, the SS2 will separate 260 seconds after it commenced its operation. During the operation of SS2, the launch vehicle would have gained 423 kilometers altitude and 3.3 kilometers per second relative velocity.
वर्तमान में शार, बेंगलोर, त्रिवेंद्रम तथा पोर्ट ब्लेयर स्थित भू ट्रैकिंग स्टेशंस यान का ट्रैकिंग कर हम तक आंकड़े उपलब्ध करा रहे हैं. कोस्टिंग फेज जारी है. EOS 7 उपग्रह मुख्यतः ऐसे नेतभारों का प्रयोग कर रहा है जो कि माइक्रो सैटेलाइट बस से सुसंगत और भावी उपग्रहों के लिए उपयोगी नवीन तकनीकों का प्रदर्शन करेंगे. इसमें मिलीमीटर वेव ह्यूमिडिटी साउंडर तथा स्पेक्ट्रम मॉनिटरिंग जैसे पेलोड लगे हुए हैं. EOS 7 का कुल भार 156 kg है तथा इसका कार्यकाल 1 साल का निर्धारित किया गया है. कुछ ही क्षणों में द्वितीय चरण को यान से पृथक कर दिया जाएगा तथा तृतीय चरण का प्रज्वलन शुरू होगा.
Stage separated.
The third stage SS3
Stage ignited.
has commenced its operation.
जी हाँ, तृतीय चरण का प्रज्वलन शुरू हो चुका है। यह भी करीब 104 सेकंड तक चलकर शांत हो जाएगा। उसके बाद कोस्ट फेज की शुरुआत होगी। तृतीय चरण का प्रज्वलन सामान्य।
HTPB based solid propellant with a loading of 4.5 tons produces a vacuum thrust of 160 kilonewtons. The stage burns for 104 seconds. The current altitude is 449 kilometers.
इस चरण के अंत तक हम 450 किलोमीटर की ऊंचाई तथा 7.24 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की सापेक्ष गति प्राप्त कर चुके होंगे।
+8 minutes.
वर्तमान में हम 480 सेकंड आगे आ चुके हैं प्रमोचन से। यान की ऊंचाई 453 किलोमीटर तथा सापेक्ष गति 6.9 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड।
Third stage action completed.
तृतीय चरण का प्रज्वलन काल समाप्त हो चुका है तथा कोस्ट फेज जारी है।
Presently, the third stage has completed its operation,
Vehicle performance normal.
but has not yet been separated. It is a coast phase along with the spent stage mass, velocity trimming module, and the satellites. The duration of coast phase is designed according to the mission requirements, considering the altitude to be reached and velocity to be attained at the time of injection. In the meantime, let me tell you about the satellites taking a ride in this mission. The primary satellite for this mission, EOS-07, is a microsatellite weighing 156 kgs, accommodating new technology payloads, millimeter wave humidity sounder, and spectrum monitoring payload. These new technologies, when proven, will be implemented in future operational satellites. The co-passenger satellite Janus-1 from USA is a technology demonstrator smart satellite mission based on Antares software platform. Janus-1 demonstrates modular bus and multi-tenant payloads with onboard edge computing programmable smart EPS, SX band SDR,
Vehicle performance normal.
secure TNC, and digital twinning with SAS platform. Azadi Sat-2 is an A2 nanosatellite made by Space Kids India that aims to demonstrate the LoRa and amateur radio communication capabilities, measure radiation levels in space, and demonstrate expandable satellite structure.
अभी यान का कोस्ट फेज जारी है। यान पूरी तरीके से निर्धारित पथ का अनुकरण करता हुआ अपनी उद्देश्य कक्षा की ओर बढ़ रहा है। इस यान में आजादी सेट एक क्यूब सेट है जिसका भार 8 kg है। इसे 75 फेम्टो एक्सपेरिमेंट्स के लिए विभिन्न नितभार हैं। इन नितभारों को स्पेस किड्स इंडिया द्वारा एकीकृत किया गया है। इसमें UHF, VHF फ्रीक्वेंसी बैंड ट्रांसपॉन्डर्स लगे हुए हैं जो कि ध्वनि तथा डेटा दोनों के प्रेषण में सक्षम हैं। तृतीय चरण को पृथक कर दिया गया है। यह अंतिम तंत्र वेलोसिटी ट्रिमिंग मॉड्यूल यह यान को अंतिम अभिवृत्ति तथा गति प्रदान करेगा।
The velocity trimming module has ignited and is currently imparting correct orbital parameters for the spacecraft.
सर्वप्रथम हम देखेंगे EOS 7 का अंतःक्षेपण.
Velocity trimming module thrust cutoff.
Plus 12 minutes.
Satellite injection is the next awaited event.
Satellite injection conditions are achieved.
अंतःक्षेपण की स्थितियां प्राप्त की जा चुकी हैं. कुछ ही क्षणों में EOS 7 का अंतःक्षेपण निर्धारित कक्षा में किया जाएगा.
The nominal time of 785 seconds past the launch is scheduled for the prime satellite EOS 07 for injection.
निर्धारित क्रमानुसार EOS 7 प्रथम अंतःक्षेपित होगा, उसके बाद Janus 1, फिर अंत में आजादी Sat 2.
EOS 07 satellite separated.
मुख्य उपग्रह EOS 7 का सफलतापूर्वक अंतःक्षेपण कर दिया गया है.
There we have the confirmation of the prime satellite EOS 07 separating from the launch vehicle. As per the mission objectives, 2 more satellites awaiting their separation.
नए प्रमोचक यान का प्रदर्शन करता हुआ SSLV-D2
Janus 1 22.5 kg satellite from USA next to be separated.
उचित अभिवृत्ति प्राप्त करता हुआ यान
Plus 15 minutes.
Janus 1 satellite separated.
Janus 1 के अंतःक्षेपण की पुष्टि की जा चुकी है. उसे सफलतापूर्वक उसके निर्धारित कक्षा में स्थापित किया जा चुका है.
Janus 1 has also been separated, and here we have Azadi Sat 2 separation also.
SSLV-D2 EOS 07 mission accomplished. Handing over to mission director.
सभी को बहुत शुभकामनाएं. मिशन इस तरीके से पूरा हुआ.
SSLV-D2 EOS 07 mission has been fully accomplished.
With the successful launch of SSLV-D2 EOS 07 mission, ISRO now has a new credible member in its launch vehicle family. Congratulations to Team ISRO. We are signing off from the commentary box. Do continue to join us for the address by Secretary DOS Chairman ISRO.
शुभ दिन. नमस्कार.
Well, gentlemen, an exciting moment for the nation, an exciting moment for ISRO especially. Now we continue to have Dr. S.K. Dhaka, who is a former DRDO scientist with us. Mr. Dhaka, in a very important aspect of this, an 8.7 kg satellite, the Azadi Sat 2, is a combined effort of about 750 girl students from across the country. The fact that it is separated, the launch, the fact that it is successful, it's an amazing feat. Now the girl students, the majority of whom are between the ages of of 14 to 17, they learned coding and programmed sensors that are designed to work in space. How do you think this is going to impact those who are watching from home? How do you think this is going to inspire the girls of this nation?
So congratulations, the space community of India. So we have a new launch vehicle, small satellite launch vehicle SSLV. In its second attempt today, SSLV-D2 has placed the EOS-07 satellite in its intended orbit very accurately. Along with the EOS-07, 2 more satellites were also placed in the required orbit, JANUS-1 through NSIL and from the Antares, and ASADISat through InSpace realized by the space kits. So congratulations to all 3 satellite teams for making the satellites as well as placing in the right orbit, and I wish all the very best to the rest of the operations of the satellite for accomplishing their mission goals. Probably all of you are aware that SSLV had its maiden flight, SSLV-D1, and we had a narrow miss of placing the satellite in the orbit because of a shortfall in velocity. And I'm very happy to report that we have analyzed the problems faced in the SSLV-D1, identified the corrective actions, implemented in a very fast pace, qualified all of those new systems, went through large amount of simulations and studies to ensure that the vehicle will become success this time. And I'm very happy to see that the really intended model of the vehicle has been executed in reality in flight. So we have also a good news that the orbit achieved by the vehicle today, using its very novel, cost-effective and very innovative guidance and navigation system, is exceedingly good. We were targeting to put it in a 450-kilometer orbit. We have very close apogee and perigee, as well as inclination is very small error only. And this also shows that the new model of the vehicle navigation system and electronics that we incorporate in SSLV is doing very well. Before I speak further, I would like to introduce very important people who have worked behind the scenes to make this mission success. First and foremost is the mission director of SSLV, Sri S. Vinod, who is a veteran of the PSLV era, who has taken this task of developing this vehicle along with a small team of people. I think they have toiled for the first mission as well as second mission. Now I will hand over to him to talk about the vehicle, and also then to the project director of the satellite, EOS-07, Sri Ravichandra Babu, will speak after that. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. Let me first say good morning, ISRO, and good morning, India. It's a momentous occasion for us. It's a proud occasion for ISRO that we have now a new launch vehicle to be offered to the launch vehicle community. It all began in 2018, a journey which started in 2018 had reached its intended destination today. The journey which has traversed through its nascent phase of configuration, realization, fabrication, testing, analysis, and finally it even had to overcome the COVID phase. It reached the launch pad last year, and we had the maiden flight in August, 7th August. As mentioned by Chairman, we had a small anomaly observed in that, and we couldn't put the satellites in the intended orbit. But detailed analysis further by a number of teams was carried out, and we were able to pinpoint the problem in the system, and we had to overcome that. And I would like to say that we overcame that, and in the shortest period of 5 months, we have come back. In the shortest period of 5 months, we had to realize 5 new hardwares, a new separation system. In addition to that, we have to make modification to the navigation and the guidance scheme, and also carry out a lot of testing to make the system robust. Today, we could accomplish with this launch the laid objective of SSLV, that's to have a low-cost, low turnaround time satellite which can offer launch on demand. This would not have been possible but for the effort of a number of people. I think the entire ISRO has worked for us. The launch vehicle team in VSSC, the navigation team in IASU, the propulsion team in liquid propulsion team in LPSC. We had the range team and also the ISTRAC team and also the satellite team jiving with us to realize this happen. I thank all of them for the tremendous support they have offered to us. And of course, we derive our confidence from our review mechanism. There have been a lot of review mechanism, and starting from the design review, the configuration review, then the post-flight review, the post-test analysis, all those things, the review mechanism has helped us. And I today acknowledge the rigorous review conducted by all the review committee and thank them for the support. I also thank the management which had shown confidence in the relatively new small team to realize this new launch vehicle for ISRO in the shortest period which is possible. Especially our chairman, Sri Somnath, who is the main architect of the vehicle, and he is considered as the system engineer for this. And he has been the main support for us, always helping out in all the conditions, and so that we are able to resolve all our issues and come back on track. Thank you very much, sir, for the support you have offered to us. I would like to thank the satellite team also led by Sri Ravichandra Babu. They also made the satellite in the shortest possible time with innovative technology, and they were able to jive with our launch. And I would also thank the confidence shown by ENSIL and InSpace for assigning 2 more passenger payload to us in the development phase itself. Last but not the least, I would like to thank the family members of ISRO for the support and the motivation they give to us, which makes us to do things like this. And on a personal note, I would like to thank my wife, Smita, who also helped me in my situation of a medical emergency for the past 3 months. She has been supporting me mentally and physically. So as a last, I would say that we would be coming back soon with the next launch of SSLV to make ISRO as well as the nation proud. Jai Hind.
Respected Chairman ISRO, Center Directors, all the dignitaries present online and offline, all my senior colleagues and friends, very good morning to all. EOS-07 satellite, it's really unique in terms of the requirement to the completion of satellite and handing over to vehicle. All happened in a so fast track mode. Within 4 to 5 months, we have realized the complete thing. In fact, the requirements has come as early as September 22, where the ongoing mission was already going on, but the teams were common to both. Still, we have assimilated all the configuration essentials required, and we were looking for best of the payloads to make an opportunity to fly in this mission. Keeping the heritage systems of mainframe intact without changing much, we were looking for the payloads. SAC Ahmedabad has come out with a few payloads. We have done a thorough analysis, system level analysis, and finally we could identify 2 of the best payloads which are giving very good input for the future operational missions. So in addition to that, 2 more payloads got added. All the onboard experiments were unique in its nature, and these are going to be really fruitful in terms of giving inputs for the future operational missions, in terms of radar monitoring, the signal monitoring from the aircrafts, then the humidity profile generation, S-band interference with terrestrial network, and even one of the instrument gives best advantage for the acceleration in the next SpaceX mission also. Really, it wouldn't have been possible without the involvement of the hard work of all the team members and the review committees. Though it was in a fast track mode, we have not turned any stone unturned for the reviews purpose also, and the performance is seen today. And the satellite is already in orbit. I thank SSLV team for putting it in the right orbit, and already the mission team has taken over the mantle. Solar panels have deployed and the power generation has started, and The initiation of the procedures to stabilize the satellite is on, and we will complete the mission live with the best performance. Thank you, one and all. Jai Hind.
Thank you. What you are seeing in the just behind me are the people who are the core team members of SSLV. So they are a very small team. Along with the mission director, they made the entire vehicle realization through the center's support. Now, being a development and launch, I have privilege to request some of the very important leaders in this community who have been working to make both the satellite and the launch vehicle ready for this mission. So I would like to call first the Launch Authorization Board Chairman, Director of SDSC Shar Rajarajan, followed by Director of LPSC, the Management Council Chair of the Space Transportation System, Director of VSSC, the Center Director of the Launch Vehicle Development, and the Director of URSC, who is a Project Management Council Chair of the Space Infrastructure, which is developing all the satellites, Director of the Space Application Center, who is a Chair of the Project Management Council of the application side, and also who developed the payloads for this EOS-07, and Director of IASU, who made this novel inertial system for this SSLV. Also, over to you.
Yeah, very good morning to the entire space community and all those who are seeing this historical launch. Thanks to Chairman ISRO, Secretary Department Space, and our mentors. It seems that ISRO has one more kid in its stable to put its canvas, to draw its canvas in the space. I think ISRO has delivered a smart kit to put, and today I was remarking that the weather is so benign, not even a single speck of clouds or this one, ready to put its canvas on so that this smart kit can draw its picture and painting and put the satellites in orbit. I thank the entire community for putting such an effort to come back and look at all the aspects, including the realization of the hardware, production, assembly. Actually, I will say, the project team is very light on its feet. There is no inertia.
Significant statements from those involved with the important mission. Right now, we're heading into a very short break, but do stay with us for more.
By some PFI workers when I was in some studios of India channels. This is the Vision 2047. Nowhere it is mentioned that the PFI is into unconstitutional measures or they want to form Islamic State.
Okay, I want to go back and qualify this for our viewers. This is as per a charge sheet filed by the Maharashtra ATS. It is, of course, incumbent on the prosecution agencies to prove this in a court of law. So this is what CNN News 18 has managed to get a hand on. This is the internal document. It's a charge sheet. Basis that charge sheet, or inside that charge sheet, is an internal document to the PFI which allegedly gives a framework to make India into an Islamic state by 2047. As per the Maharashtra ATS's charge sheet, the PFI has a 4-step program for this. Step 1 is using religious leaders to bring the community under one roof and constantly reminding the community that atrocities are being committed against them here in India. Step 2 is seeking funds from Islamic countries which will then be used by PFI cadre to create violence in the country. Step 3 is use communities like the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes to create distrust for the RSS and spread the idea that the RSS is only popular with upper caste Hindus. And finally, step 4 is getting PFI cadre elected as well as them entering the ranks of the police and the judiciary. This is as has been alleged by the Maharashtra ATS in its charge sheet. Now, how have they come to this judgment in the charge sheet that's been filed before an anti-terror court? The ATS had arrested 5 alleged members of the PFI. This was in September of last year when there was a massive crackdown that happened nationwide across from Delhi to Mumbai to Kerala. They went on to record of these 5 alleged members 27 witness statements as well as collecting documents, and came to this assertion that PFI members had held secret meetings in Chembur, in Dharavi, Kurla, Thane, Nerul, Panvel and Mumbra. As part of their meetings, discussions were also held to include Muslim youth and convince them that their religion is in danger and in order to mobilize them against others. According to the ATS's charge sheet, the organization had intended to replace the Indian constitution with Sharia in order to establish an Islamic state. The documents added that the PFI wanted to paint a picture that atrocities are meted out against Muslims in the country and Muslim youth should identify themselves as Muslims and not as Indians. Further, this plan was to radicalize the youth to use arms, for which they would seek help from international organizations, and to disrupt the nature of rule of law in the country. Now, while the PFI's sinister designs are unraveling, the government has also cracked down on the PFI over the last few months. In September of 2022, over 100 senior functionaries and cadre of the PFI were arrested. This was a joint operation conducted by the National Investigation Agency, the Enforcement Directorate, and the State Police in at least 15 different state locations across the country. Less than a week later came a second swoop. 270 PFI members were arrested from 7 states. Those arrested were allegedly involved in mobilizing sympathy for this prescribed outfit. The agencies cracked down on not just the cadre, but even those who were linked to the PFI in any tangential way. PFI workers hit back and went on a vandalism spree in Kerala and in large parts of Tamil Nadu as well, targeting shops and public transport during a so-called hartal. Within days, the centre banned the PFI for 5 years under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. The Kerala High Court too slapped a 5 crore bill on PFI vandals, and the properties of PFI members were attached. The court had specifically said that whatever damages public transport and public infrastructure had sustained at the hands of these PFI individuals needs to be recovered from them. Now, in December, the NIA submitted an affidavit in a special court in Kochi and made some startling revelations in that affidavit. According to the NIA, the PFI is a secret wing of reporters to collect details of leaders of other communities and prepare a list of targets. Referring to some of the murders committed by PFI cadre in Kerala, the NIA claimed in its affidavit that victims were randomly selected by the leadership of PFI. They were studied, permissions were given to attack and kill the victims brutally so as to send a message of terror. Some PFI leaders and cadre had propagated the ideology of ISIS and used
Welcome back, everybody. The Mumbai-Ahmedabad bullet train is the pet project of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This is the country's first bullet train project, and CNN News 18's Akash Sharma brings you this ground report from Mumbai's Bandra Kurla complex, where the work on the project is underway. Take a look.
Mumbai-Ahmedabad bullet train project is in full swing. Land acquisition is almost complete, and now the place where I'm standing as of now will be the initial station of Mumbai. To talk about this particular project and also about the progress, I'm joined by Chief Project Manager UP Singh जी. सर, मुझे सबसे पहले तो बताइए कि अब तक क्या कुछ समस्याएं आ रही थी और अब जब हम कह रहे हैं कि टेंडर प्रोसेस भी शुरू हो गई है और काम शुरू हो जाएगा, कितनी बड़ी रिलीफ है आपके लिए और क्या कुछ होगा?
There are all type of challenges because this is the country's first bullet train project where we are intent to run the train at the speed of 320 kmph, and this area is very Maharashtra area is very unique in that way. There are mangroves, there are wildlife sanctuary, there are CRZ, etc. So we overcome all those difficulties, and now we are geared up for execution of the project.
Sir, while talking about bullet train project, so we know about the speed. We know that these trains will be going beyond 350 in fact. But talking about the same project, since you're working on this project, can you share some of the highlights of this project? Because we have been told that sea ke niche se bhi tunnel banegi and a number of things.
Actually, in Maharashtra, we have divided the civil engineering packages in 3 parts. One is the C1 package, where we intend to construct underground BKC station, which is the first station out of all the 12 stations of MHSR, which is underground. Right. So here the platform level is at 24 meter depth, and we are integrating it with metro project. This is the main highlight, so that passenger can easily get down from the metro and catch the bullet train to save the time. This is the very good thing.
Bandra Kurla complex. We have been told that this is the same place where we'll have the initial underground station of the bullet train, and also the highlight is that this station will be joined by the metro on the other side, so those who are traveling via metro can easily come to this particular station, and those who are traveling via bullet train can easily go to that particular station. Also, we have been given to understand that this place, the place where I'm standing, other than the underground metro station, underground bullet train station, it will have multi-story buildings where a number of facilities will be provided.
Welcome, Shilpa Ratnam, in your watching Morning News on CNN News 18. We're starting off this bulletin with some breaking news coming in. This is about the PFI charge sheet. Mega CNN News 18 exclusive on PFI hate plot and how they plotted to establish Islamic rule in India by 2047. CNN News 18 has accessed part 2 of Maharashtra's ATS charge sheet against PFI's hate plot. Now, in the second part, the excerpts accessed by CNN News 18, Maharashtra ATS charge sheet reveals that there were videos found on the arrested accused phones which show the modus operandi of bomb making, baton and karate training, and to use Maharashtra as the base to spread hate operations. So these are the specific details that have been accessed in part 2 of that charge sheet. Going across to my colleague Yesha, who has accessed this charge sheet. Good morning to you, Yesha. For our viewers, if you could sum up the contents of that charge sheet, and especially that part where it says that Maharashtra was chosen as the base for the terror operations and the 2047 mission and the concrete modus operandi that has now been uncovered.
Yes, in fact, what we see is that there were certain states which were on the radar. Maharashtra was among them. They wanted to increase activities of PFI in Maharashtra because before that, they had already targeted Kashmir as well as Lakshadweep. Now, when we speak about the modus operandi in Maharashtra, we've seen that there have been videos recovered from several of these accusers' phone wherein people with karate training are also, people who were having karate training was recorded. Apart from that, they were also training people to make bombs. These were petrol bombs usually put in a bottle, and after that they'd use cloth to it. So there are these videos which have been found in the phone of accused, and this was in order to ensure that they could go further with their planning. Now let us understand what this whole planning was. Like we've already spoken that they wanted to establish an Islamic state by 2047, which is the 100th anniversary of independence. But apart from that, the idea was to instill in the minds of Muslim youth that they are being targeted as minorities. So there were several videos of Indian government, also that of the religious leaders. They were trying to preach people through religious leaders that they are a minority and they're being targeted in the country. And several of these videos by politicians as well as ministers of the Indian government were being used by conveying a different meaning to their context. Apart from that, a list of, say, masjids as well as temples was passed on to these youth, wherein it was informed to them that these were the places where mosques stood and it was replaced by temples. Now, this was the kind of a modus operandi that PFI was looking at, and all this was in fact a part of the larger picture, which is a 2047, establishing an Islamic state by 2047. And we saw that this was in fact an internal document which was communicated amongst the PFI cadre. And apart from that, various schemes of Indian government were also on the radar of PFI, wherein they were trying to convey that these schemes were against the youth, and to in fact put forth a picture wherein these Muslim youth would be against other communities. The idea was that it would be instilled in the mind of these Muslim youth that it was PFI who was guiding them, but other communities are in fact against them. So these videos, be it then for matter of fact that of Prime Minister Narendra Modi or the schemes that were put in place by the government, all this was being used, and which is where we see that these accused who were arrested, 5 accused who have been arrested by ATS, and they're currently in judicial custody.
Yesha, request you to stay with us. We're also joined by Mr. Vikram Singh, former DGP. Very good morning to you, sir. So we have been, talking about Mission 2047 of the PFI. This cadre has been banned in September. by the courts. But now we have some concrete details about bomb making. There are videos about a petrol bomb and about how the people were actually trained to make these bombs, and also the fact that Maharashtra was being considered as a base for these terror activities.
Morning, very sinister developments and a cause of concern for all the security agencies and for every Indian. The PFI, as you very rightly mentioned, has a roadmap 2047 to make India an Islamic state. The three important aspects of the PFI are radicalization, funding, and weaponizing the mind. When I say weaponizing the mind, it would mean that they want to radicalize every disgruntled element or impressionable mind to be a weapon against India, and that is where the problem begins. Now, it is a matter of satisfaction that it has been banned, but banning is just the first step. You have to identify each and every individual associated with the PFI, the funding received, and those who are breathing oxygen into this sinister organization. Banning, yes, you have removed the signboards, but the venom continues to exist, and that is where the second problem is. And therefore, I would compliment the investigating agency, but the antenna has to be high to absolutely ensure that they do not survive this banning, and UAPA provisions need to be implemented to confiscate all their movable and immovable property. Their aiders, those who abet their crime and criminality, they have to be taken to task and ensure that, yes, a resolute nation will not suffer this kind of a nonsense from a criminal and an anti-national organization.
So we know that the charge sheet also mentions the fact that PFI had a close eye on J&K. They said that 8 districts of Jammu and Kashmir have about 70% of Muslims, and also Lakshadweep, and they said Muslims are the second highest minority in the country. But what were their specific plans for Maharashtra? Because so far we don't have any, the kind of net that PFI has when it operates in Maharashtra. I think more details are being uncovered with regard to that.
Please, Maharashtra has been a very crucial state for the country, apart from the fact that it happens to have the industrial hub of the country. Now, second, the long history of communal situation in Mumbai, the riots, 1991, 26/11, and other. You see, there are pockets in the country, and also in Maharashtra is no exception, where you have ready-made material for incendiary purposes, anti-national purposes. Then what we see is just the surface. We have not taken into account the inputs of the ISI when the beheadings took place in Udaipur and Amravati. We must not forget that the ISI is behind the think tank of the PFI, and the aid that is coming through the likes of Zakir Naik and also from the Middle East through the Zakat money is a matter of extreme investigation, deep and incisive investigation. So Maharashtra, apart from being the industrial hub, being a very important state in the country, contributing majorly to the GDP of the country, therefore, the communal situation, the communal flashpoint, and also the fact that it is also the commercial hub makes it an ideal spot for anti-national elements like the ex-PFI cadres to focus on Maharashtra. Lakshadweep, you very rightly mentioned, pockets where the minority population is high, Jammu and Kashmir. But yes, let me also assure you, our intelligence agencies and paramilitary forces and the police are equal to the task, and we will suffer no nonsense from criminal elements, ex-cadres of the PFI.
Sir, request you stay with us. We're also joined by Mr. Majid Neman of the TMC. Very good morning to you, sir. So now there are more details about the modus operandi of the PFI, the fact that they were, the members were being trained about how to make bombs. The question also remains that was there a lot of sympathy for PFI which led to the late ban of this? It was only banned September of last year. Do you believe it should have been banned earlier?
Well, I am told that the investigating team has been able to lay down their hands onto several circumstantial and other pieces of evidence which constitutes a charge sheet which has been filed before the trial court about the alleged preparation for striking terror in Maharashtra or any part of the country. Well, definitely this is a very sensitive matter, where the investigators are expected to do their job to the best of their ability and make a strong case. See, PFI being a banned organization, certainly those who are conducting any activity under the name of PFI are liable to be punished according to the provisions of law. and also for any terror act, because we have a UAPA Act which is quite stringent, under which or other laws which certainly deal with situations like this. But then this is mere investigation. Let us hold on. Let the trial take place. Let the evidence, emerge. And then it is thereafter that we can conclusively say that yes, X, Y, Z as an individual or as a group of some organization or a banned organization is guilty of crime.
Sir, so as of now, you're telling us that the evidence that has been uncovered by the ATS, the evidence that they put in the charge sheet is actually circumstantial?
No, ATS, you see, may do a good job. I don't want to discourage our agencies which may be successfully uncovering any such hidden agenda of causing a disturbance in the society, whether in the state of Maharashtra or elsewhere. And definitely they would do well if they collect authentic evidence to the satisfaction of the court. Then ultimately it is the court that will be deciding whether the evidence is believable, whether the persons who are brought before the court with accusations of such serious nature have in fact committed the crime and they deserve to be punished sternly.
Okay, sir, so let the courts decide. Absolutely right. They will determine whether that evidence is adequate, circumstantial or substantial. Thank you very much for joining us, sir, this morning. Also would like to thank Mr. Vikram Singh for joining us with his views. Going back to my colleague Yesha, who brought us this news break. Okay, we're actually joined by Mr. Amit Malviya as well of the BJP. Very good morning to you, sir. So we're talking about the contents of that charge sheet that we've accessed, part 2 of the ATS charge sheet. Very concerning that Maharashtra was actually being contemplated as the base for the terror activities.
Well, Maharashtra was just the base, but the operations were spread across several states of the country, including Bihar, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Kerala, Karnataka. And several instances of instigations were witnessed, whether it was Karnataka or the several arrests that were made in Bihar or the land grab that is going on in Jharkhand and parts of Madhya Pradesh in the tribal belt. It was all part of PFI's agenda to establish an Islamic state in India by 2047. And this charge sheet put up by the ATS in Maharashtra only goes on to corroborate everything that's been in the public domain. And the modus operandi of the PFI. And let's not forget, there were very eminent people in the Congress party and the other so-called secular parties that endorsed the PFI and its activities. No less than the former Vice President Hamid Ansari was a frequent visitor to events hosted by the PFI, and Hamid Ansari was very close to Sonia Gandhi. So it really clearly tells you where this entire plot was connected to, who were the people behind it, who were the people who were patronizing it. And this charge sheet raises several questions on the political front also, more particularly Congress and the other so-called secular parties, and what they were fomenting in the name of PFI, in the name of secularism, in the name of minority appeasement.
Well, Amit, I was speaking to Mr. Majan Neman earlier this morning, just a few minutes ago, and he was saying, let the courts decide about this particular evidence that's been uncovered. He said, let the court decide whether PFI is culpable, whether they should be held responsible. But do you believe that with the courts declaring the PFI as a banned organization in September already, this only bolsters the case and that there is not much else left to prove?
Well, PFI is right now a banned organization in the country, and the request for ban came from several organizations. So when people like Mr. Menon, who's now a member of the Trinamool Congress, speaks about the court deciding whether the PFI was in the right or the wrong, he comes across as somebody who's a sympathizer. And that is really the problem with India's so-called secular politics, that we refuse to look the terror in its eye. We refuse to look at these inimical elements in their eye and call them for what they are.
Mr. Malviya there, BJP spokesperson, thank you very much, sir, for joining us on the morning broadcast with your views. Going back to my colleague Yesha now, who brought us all these details. Yesha, also want to talk about the global linkages mentioned in that chart sheet. Earlier when I was talking to former DGP Vikram Singh, he was talking about the linkages to ISI, but also now some connections to the fact that PFI activists and members also went on to join the Islamic State.
That's right. In fact, we saw that DGP Vikram mentioned about how these international connections were linked, and this is very much mentioned in the chart sheet of PFI, wherein they've said that they would be getting funds for all these arms training. Now, this arms training, of course, requires funds, and chart sheet clearly mentions that they'd be getting funds from international organizations. Apart from that, it also mentioned that there'll be several Islamic states who would be contributing towards PFI, and this funding would then be used for training of these youngsters who were in fact being asked to join the PFI cadre. Now, let us understand how the entire system of PFI works. PFI, in fact, is a breakthrough of SIMI. SIMI was also banned by the central government and the court earlier in the 2000s, following which the youngsters who were then part of SIMI formed the PFI. Now, the modus operandi was to reach out to youngsters and youngsters in colleges and universities in order to ensure that they can be brought into the fold of PFI. Here, when we talk about PFI as an organization, there are several youngsters who are a part of this, and even their family members were given certain literature so that they would be assured that it is the Indian government which is in fact not working in their favor. What we understand from the chart sheet as well is that it was constantly hammered to them that there were atrocities committed against these Muslim families by the Indian government. There was in fact a list of population across all these states. Like we discussed earlier, why was Mumbai the base? What about the other states? So in that context, let us understand that the literature that ATS has received from mobile phones and other electronic data of these accused also has a list of all the 28 states, the population in all these states of Muslims, as well as the mosques that are over there. So the idea was to reach out to these mosques, the religious leaders there, the imams there, and to propagate through them about how these youngsters should be in the PFI cadre. It would be through prayers as well as gatherings that take place in the community, that leaders of the community would reach out to these youth. They would pass on the message of PFI. And this was how they were trying to reach to this 2047 model that we're talking about ever since yesterday. The 2047 model was to ensure that these PFI cadres are in fact in the government, and through them then a Shariat law would be put in place. Instead of Indian constitution, Shariat law would be in place, and all the teachings that we speak about, teachings of our freedom fighters and everything that's gone into constitution would in fact be wiped off. This was the entire modus operandi of PFI. And funding that we talk about, of course, we've seen that the Zakat funds as well as the other funds which have been used by people like Zakir Naik earlier as well. These are collected from community and then later on passed on to organizations like PFI, wherein training such as making bombs as well as that of other arms training is conducted. Yes.
Thank you very much, Yesha, for bringing us that news break. This is part 2 of the ATS chart sheet that Yesha was telling us about. But shifting our attention to Pakistan, a major setback for Pakistan and its economy as Shehbaz Sharif's government and IMF's 9th review meeting failed to reach a staff-level agreement during their talks. This standoff and the deadlock comes after Pakistan officials declined the conditions of cut in defense budget of 10 to 20% as committed in earlier talks. The fund has rejected the gradual approach proposal of Pakistan, saying everything has to be done upfront. IMF further added that they can't trust Pakistan, when they're dragging their feet. However, both the parties have agreed to a broader framework aimed at satisfying the lender of the last resort in the coming days. Okay, so no staff-level agreement has been reached so far. So the IMF talks for the bailout. However, going across to my colleague Abhishek Jha, who tracks the MEA very closely. Very good morning to you, Abhishek. Abhishek, the Finance Secretary of Pakistan, Hamid Sheikh, has said that they have reached the agreement on the prerequisites to be met. One question, the IMF had asked for the cost of living to be increased in Pakistan, when you especially talk about the artificially low prices of gas and electricity for the low income section. Now the IMF had asked for the raising of that. What is Pakistan's stand on raising that? Because that seems to be a vital requisite for getting that bailout.
Of course, Shifa, and this is not artificial pricing of the commodities. In fact, the pricing of very much Pakistan's own rupee was also artificially, stopped. And when IMF asked Pakistan to link it with the market price, it fell sharply by 20% almost. And this is the current situation of Pakistan, if we can say, where Pakistan can not only have the issue in dealing with balance of payment crisis, which is looming large, and Pakistan may default on import, payments. Pakistan is also not being able to help itself politically, because the reason that Pakistan's sides negotiators gave to IMF that on the cutting of defense budget, they will have to have some sort of discussion with Army Chief, who is in UK, and so they need some more time to discuss it before they could reach to a decision. But IMF was very impatient in sort of having the past record of Pakistan, and they said that they need a decision upfront, and if that is not possible, then probably this stalemate will continue. And with this, we believe that the IMF team has left Pakistan, and the whole assumption that Pakistan may get $1.1 billion of IMF's ninth tranche of 7 point something billion dollar of help again hangs in balance.
Abhishek, also the IMF pushed for Pakistan to maintain a sustainable amount of dollars in the bank through
delegates, investors.
PM Modi is inaugurating the Investors Summit currently in UP. Those visuals there on your screen, the PM has entered the venue, and the state is eyeing, has a mission to become a 1 trillion economy. UP CM there, Yogi Adityanath, at the inauguration as well. He is, the PM is inaugurating a 3-day summit. This is a UP Global Investors Summit that is being inaugurated currently, and this is aimed at showcasing Uttar Pradesh as a major investment destination. That's what this Global Investors Summit is about, and this is taking place in Lucknow currently. It will have 34 sessions with 10 sessions on day 1. Apart from the PM, inaugural session will... Going across to my colleague Pranshu Mishra, who joins us. Good morning to you, Pranshu. The inaugural session also to be addressed by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, CM Yogi Adityanath, and a lot of noted industrialists such as Mukesh Ambani, Anand Mahindra. Has the event started yet? What are you seeing around you?
It's the statement out here, and the Reliance Industries chairperson Mukesh Ambani, among other senior business leaders, is already here. And clearly, the UP is the government of the UP state of Uttar Pradesh is eyeing a major boost as far as the economic growth is concerned. We have heard UP Chief Minister saying that he aims to make UP a $1 trillion economy in nation's economic growth aspirations of being a $5 trillion economy by 2027. So in that sense, government claims that MOUs worth of 27 lakh crores have already been signed. The real question is, or the real, effort by the government would be to ensure that the bulk of these MOUs are actually executed, because MOUs at the moment are just assurances from various industrial groups, both national and as well as the foreign groups, of promising investment in the state of Uttar Pradesh. So government clearly is, quite optimistic that so much of investment proposals have been obtained, and it also aims at the conversion of at least 10 lakh crores worth of these MOUs out of the total figure of 27 lakh crores. So clearly it's a major boost, and the government says that this entire exercise would be a grand success, because UP has clearly moved out of the shadows of darkness witnessed in the past. Law and order situation, according to the BJP and the Chief Minister, has drastically improved over the years. No longer the business community or the investors will feel hesitant of putting in their money in the state of Uttar Pradesh. There is a larger, better connectivity of road infrastructure, transport facilities. UP has the longest waterways. It has around 17,000 kilometers of railway networks, 5 operational expressways, and also 9 international airports getting operational here in the state of Uttar Pradesh. So in terms of logistics, in terms of MSME, 96 lakhs MSME units working in the state of Uttar Pradesh. The biggest demographic dividend in terms of having the maximum population, around 25 crores population of working age group between 18 to 60. So the government feels that UP has all the required, elements. It has the biggest consumer base. It has a sufficient land data bank. It has a great potential in terms of agro business, manufacturing business, pharmaceutical industry, and therefore it feels that this exercise of today would pave in the way of future development, the way of future investments over the period of next 4 years. So MAUs that will be executed today, that have been promised today, the government is eyeing a window of next 4 years before the state goes to election again in 2027 to implement those MAUs. Prime Minister has always said that UP and the double growth phenomena has worked miracle for Uttar Pradesh, and therefore when Prime Minister speaks here shortly, the eyes will be on the message he has for Uttar Pradesh. The endorsement comes in from the Prime Minister. We all
Let me try and re-establish that connection with my colleague Pranchu Mishra. As he's telling us, this is the flagship investment summit of Uttar Pradesh. Union ministers who are expected to attend the event today include Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. Also, our Finance Minister Nirmala Sitaraman is expected to be there. We're also expecting to see the presence of about 300 industrialists such as Reliance Industries chairperson Mr. Mukesh Ambani, K. Chandrasekaran, Kumar Mangalam Birla and Anand Mahindra. So earlier, the target for this summit was about 10 lakh crore rupees. Later, it has been revised to 17.3 lakh crore. So this is a big push for investment in Uttar Pradesh. And as my colleague Pranchu Mishra was telling us, there were some hurdles earlier, such as a law and order situation, but the state and the centre believe that that has been fixed as of now and that all the conditions there are conducive for economic and industrial development. And we do know that global honchos from UK and Japan are expected to be taking part in this summit as well today, and it is going to be a collaboration between the industrialists, the think tanks and the government. So it is a flagship summit which is going to be going across for about 3 days. The electricity department, the traffic department and also the roads to the summit have been bolstered. The preparations have been taking place for about 2 months now, and the state government has also made arrangements to live telecast this entire event. Now the inauguration is going to be done by the Prime Minister there, and he's there on your screens. This is taking place in Lucknow, and as we were telling you, besides the Prime Minister, the President Draupadi Murmu as well is expected to be attending, and over 15 cabinet ministers, including our Finance Minister Nirmala Sitaraman, Health Minister Mansukh Mandavya, Women and Child Development Minister Smriti Irani and Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari. They're all expected to attend this event. So a huge push from the centre. Going across to my colleague Maria Shakil, who joins us. Very good morning to you, Maria. This is the flagship investment summit of Uttar Pradesh. But what do you think so far kept UP from becoming the kind of industrial giant, financial giant? This is a very ambitious summit as well, which aims to raise about 17.3 lakh crore rupees.
Yes, and it's being called the Mahakumbh of business investors. It's a 2-day summit which is being inaugurated by the Prime Minister today. Yogi Adityanath, who spoke to our editor-in-chief Rahul Joshi just a few days back, had said that he is hoping to completely transform the state of Uttar Pradesh because they have ensured development in terms of infrastructure projects. They would want, the global investors to look at Uttar Pradesh favorably, and that would mean, heralding a new era for a state which is in the center of India in many ways, the main heartland of India, the state which sends 80 MPs to the Lok Sabha. And it is often said that the road to Delhi or road to power in Delhi goes through Lucknow. We are looking at those visuals. I think it's a clear message that is coming from the Prime Minister, that it is Modi, Yogi, who are now, pushing that much needed push that the state of Uttar Pradesh needs. Be it in terms of the expressways, which have been, several of them have been made operational. There are several which are under construction. The government has ambitious plans in terms of international airports. There are several MSCD units which have become, functional again. A metro which is running in 5 cities in Uttar Pradesh. There are projects that are underway in 5 to 6 cities as well. There are, projects to do with sugar production which have been started in the state of Uttar Pradesh. One district, one product has been a major push that has been undertaken by the government of Yogi Adityanath. When we look at this visual, you can see Anandiben Patel, the governor, along with Yogi Adityanath, the chief minister, accompanying the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, moving from one stall to another, trying to interact with those who have set up their shops there, trying to send a message that this is about investment, that the only way India can go forward, the only way that big states, large states of India can set narrative if they become job creators, if they ensure that there are some options which are created in terms of getting more employment opportunities. So when we look at these visuals, the message is coming clear that in the new era or the new tenure of Yogi Adityanath, it's a completely different, government, a government which believes more in development, a government which believes more in other projects, other pushes.
Maria, as you're rightly mentioning, the kind of connectivity that Uttar Pradesh now has been making headlines with the number of expressways that have come out, the law and order situation as well being credited to CM Yogi Adityanath for improving the image of the state, and of course the kind of strong relationship that the state has with the centre, all of that leading to this push for the global investors meet with such an august presence of 15 union ministers, the PM himself inaugurating this summit. So it is going to be a very significant push for investment in the state.
Yes, absolutely. Shilpa, when we look at these visuals, it's very heartwarming to see a state such as large as Uttar Pradesh get onto this path of development with this move. Yogi Adityanath just a few days back was in Bombay as well, trying to send a message to the investors, the big industrialists and others, that Uttar Pradesh is now ready to welcome them. So the message that is coming from them is that they are welcoming the wealth creators. They are welcoming those who can create job opportunities for the state and its people. So private players are welcome. When we look at it, the visuals are clearly sending a message that Uttar Pradesh is trying to project itself as an investment-friendly destination. How they have tried to, ensure that there is single window clearance. Also, it's ensuring that there is ease of doing business. There is a large consumer base which can be tapped on. There is the power supply and the road connectivity has been taken care of. In terms of connectivity through airports has been managed as well. So these are big messages that are coming in from Yogi Adityanath. When we look at these visuals, the message is of Uttar Pradesh becoming a cultural tourism center where there are youth power which has to be skilled and perhaps made available to those industrialists who will decide to invest in Uttar Pradesh. This is, of course, being called the first, it's the first of its kind taking place in UP. It's a 2-day summit, which is happening in its capital city of Lucknow.
That's a political editor there, Maria Shakil, bringing us all the details of that investor summit underway in UP. On that note, switching to a very short break, we'll be right back.
यान को अंतिम अभिवृत्ति तथा गति प्रदान करेगा.
The velocity timing module has ignited and is currently imparting correct orbital parameters for the spacecraft.
सर्वप्रथम हम देखेंगे EOS 7 का अंतःक्षेपण.
Velocity trimming module thrust cutoff. Plus 12 minutes.
Satellite injection is the next awaited event.
Satellite injection conditions are achieved.
अंतःक्षेपण की स्थितियां प्राप्त की जा चुकी हैं. कुछ ही क्षणों में EOS 7 का अंतःक्षेपण निर्धारित कक्षा में किया जाएगा.
The nominal time of 785 seconds past the launch is scheduled for the prime satellite EOS-07 for injection.
EOS-07 satellite separated.
मुख्य उपग्रह EOS-7 का सफलतापूर्वक अंतक्षेपण कर दिया गया है.
There we have the confirmation of the prime satellite EOS-07 separating from the launch vehicle.
Janus-1 satellite separated.
Janus-1 के अंतक्षेपण की पुष्टि की जा चुकी है. उसे सफलतापूर्वक उसके निर्धारित कक्षा में स्थापित किया जा चुका है.
Janus-1 has also been separated, and here we have Azadi Sat-2 separation also.
SSLV-D2 EOS-07 mission accomplished. Handing over to mission director.
सभी को बहुत शुभकामनाएं. मिशन इस तरीके से पूरा हुआ.
SSLV-D2 EOS-07 mission has been fully accomplished.
With the successful launch of SSLV-D2 EOS-07 mission, ISRO now has a new credible member in its launch vehicle family. Congratulations to Team ISRO.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Beautiful launch of SSLV-D2 EOS-07 on a bright sunny morning.
Event tracking.
प्रज्वलन और सफलतापूर्ण उत्थापन SSLV-D2 प्रमोचकयान का अपनी उद्दिष्ट कक्षा की ओर SSLV-D2 EOS-7 मिशन.
We have confirmation from the Range Operations Director of the normal performance of Stage 1, which means close to 2,600 kilonewtons thrust. 87 tons of solid propellant burns for 115 seconds.
भारत के आज़ादी के अमृत महोत्सव को दर्शाता भारत का एक और महत्वपूर्ण मिशन दिन के उजाले में दूर तक दिखाई दे रहा है. बहुत से दर्शक आंखों देखा अनुभव लेने यहाँ उपस्थित हुए हैं. ये अपने आप में एक अविस्मरणीय अनुभव होता है. सभी की धड़कनें तेज.
Shato is in main auto.
Plus 1 minute.
Apart from the launch-based radars, telemetry and tracking stations at Shar, Bangalore, Trivandrum are currently tracking.
जैसे जैसे यान ऊपर जा रहा है, हम देख रहे हैं इसके सभी तंत्र सामान्य निष्पादन कर रहे हैं और यान निर्धारित दिशा की ओर अपने आप को निरंतरित करता हुआ आगे जा रहा है.
The flex nozzle of stage is imparting the pitch and yaw control.
Welcome back after the break. Some breaking news coming in. UK review warns against anti-India rhetoric over Kashmir pro-Khalistan extremism. A review into the UK government scheme set up to prevent terrorism has made recommendations for improvements to tackle Islamic terrorism as the Islamist terrorist extremism as the primary threat to the country, and also flagged other areas of growing concern, including the radicalization of UK Muslims over Kashmir and potentially toxic pro-Khalistan extremism. The review into the government's counter-terrorism early intervention preventive strategy published this week warned that rhetoric from Pakistan is impacting UK Muslim communities when it comes to inflaming anti-India sentiment, particularly around the subject of Kashmir. It also warns against a false narrative being disseminated by a tiny number of pro-Khalistan groups operating in the UK. It's important to note that this says that anti-India rhetoric coming in from Pakistan is impacting the UK Muslim minority communities. They're going across to my colleague Abhishek Jha. Abhishek, the review says while the current level of threat is low, it is feared that there could be growing violence because of this sort of rhetoric coming in from Pakistan and also from the pro-Khalistani groups operating.
So, Shilpa, this is something that India has been warning USA at the top level and during various meetings also India has raised this issue that there is a clear organized propaganda and radicalism that is happening, which is against India and which will be ultimately against the UK's own interests. And these elements, in the name of pro-Khalistan or in the name of becoming voice of Kashmiris and against India's so-called operation in Kashmir, they are trying to radicalize people and create a base which will be acting against India's interest and UK's interest. We know that India and UK have been sharing a very strong bond and in multiple dimensions of bilateral trade ties, commerce ties, or people-to-people connect. But these elements are trying to disrupt that. In fact, there has been reports in the review which has mentioned that there is an element of crossover between those who seek to impose limits around blasphemy with those who voice incendiary rhetoric on Kashmir. So Kashmir is not just an issue for these elements. This is an area where they are working around to make people more radicalized in the name of Islam or in the name of anti-India sentiments.
Abhishek, also it says Islamist extremism is the biggest threat to the UK. That's the biggest threat that the UK faces. Very significant, that it mentions that point, and also very concerning the fact that it highlights that the rhetoric coming in from Pakistan and the pro-Khalistani groups could affect the UK minority communities, of which, there are a lot of Indians as well.
We know that there is substantial population of, Muslims who have been living in UK for a very long time. In fact, there's a huge presence of Pakistani diaspora as well, and in the diaspora as well. And there has been sort of community harmony between these groupings. But in the recent years, there has been a clear, attempt to disrupt that harmony and to create a divide and a more, a radicalized mindset and extremist mindset, which is
Abhishek, request you to stay with us because now we're joined by Mr. Rabinder Sachdev, Foreign Affairs expert. Very good morning to you, sir. We're breaking this news about the UK review, which warns against anti-India rhetoric over Kashmir, pro-Khalistani extremism, and also states that Islamist extremism is the biggest threat that the UK faces today.
Thank you. I mean, on the first off the cup, one would say it's a good step, a good progress, acknowledgement of the problem that Britain is seeing, right? That's this is something which has been happening and which actually, is really troubling Britain inside. As long as what folks out there are doing in other countries and within the UK, there are no, these things, turmoil, it's okay for the UK. But now, the past many years, these turmoils are hitting inside UK itself, right? The pro-Palestinian elements, they're fomenting troubles, including basic law and order troubles, let's say, right? Extremist Islam, also basic, such troubles they are creating, other than, whatever conspiracies they may be hatching. So this has now become a matter of concern to absolutely be addressed. The question is to see how will they address the issue.
Well, yes, sir, absolutely. This is a review, but how are they going to tackle the issues that they've highlighted? We have to keep an eye on that. Thank you very much for joining us with your views. On that note, slipping into a very short break. Stay with us. Headlines continue on the other side.
विभिन्न नेतभार हैं। इन नेतभारों को स्पेस किड्स इंडिया द्वारा एकीकृत किया गया है। इसमें UHF, VHF फ्रीक्वेंसी बैंड ट्रांसपॉन्डर्स लगे हुए हैं जो कि ध्वनि तथा डेटा दोनों के प्रेषण में सक्षम हैं। तृतीय चरण को पृथक कर दिया गया है। यह अंतिम तंत्र वेलोसिटी ट्रिमिंग मॉड्यूल यह यान को अंतिम अभिवृत्ति तथा गति प्रदान करेगा।
The velocity trimming module has ignited and is currently imparting correct orbital parameters for the spacecraft.
सर्वप्रथम हम देखेंगे EOS 7 का अंतःक्षेपण।
Velocity trimming module thrust cutoff. Plus 12 minutes.
Satellite injection is the next awaited event.
Satellite injection conditions are achieved.
अंतःक्षेपण की स्थितियां प्राप्त की जा चुकी हैं। कुछ ही क्षणों में EOS 7 का अंतःक्षेपण निर्धारित कक्षा में किया जाएगा।
The nominal time of 785 seconds past the launch is scheduled for the prime satellite EOS-07 for injection.
EOS-07 satellite separated.
मुख्य उपग्रह EOS-7 का सफलतापूर्वक अंतक्षेपण कर दिया गया है.
There we have the confirmation of the prime satellite EOS-07 separating from the launch vehicle.
Janus-1 satellite separated.
Janus-1 के अंतक्षेपण की पुष्टि की जा चुकी है. उसे सफलतापूर्वक उसके निर्धारित कक्षा में स्थापित किया जा चुका है.
Janus-1 has also been separated, and here we have Azadi Sat-2 separation also.
SSLV-D2 EOS-07 mission accomplished. Handing over to mission director.
सभी को बहुत शुभकामनाएं. मिशन इस तरीके से पूरा हुआ.
SSLV-D2 EOS-07 mission has been fully accomplished.
With the successful launch of SSLV-D2 EOS-07 mission, ISRO now has a new credible member in its launch vehicle family. Congratulations to Team ISRO.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Beautiful launch of SSLV-D2 EOS-07 on a bright sunny morning.
Event tracking.
प्रज्वलन और सफलतापूर्ण उत्थापन SSLV-D2 प्रोमोचकयान का अपनी उद्दिष्ट कक्षा की ओर SSLV-D2 EOS-7 मिशन.
We have confirmation from the Range Operations Director of the normal performance of Stage 1, which means close to 2,600 kilonewtons thrust. 87 tons of solid propellant burns for 115 seconds.
भारत के आज़ादी के अमृत महोत्सव को दर्शाता भारत का एक और महत्वपूर्ण मिशन दिन के उजाले में दूर तक दिखाई दे रहा है. बहुत से दर्शक आंखों देखा अनुभव लेने यहाँ उपस्थित हुए हैं. ये अपने आप में एक अविस्मरणीय अनुभव होता है. सभी की धड़कनें तेज.
Shato is in main auto.
Plus 1 minute.
Apart from the launch-based radars, telemetry and tracking stations at Shar, Bangalore, Trivandrum are currently tracking.
जैसे जैसे यान ऊपर जा रहा है, हम देख रहे हैं इसके सभी तंत्र सामान्य निष्पादन कर रहे हैं और यान निर्धारित दिशा की ओर अपने आप को नियंत्रित करता हुआ आगे जा रहा है.
The flex nozzle of stage is imparting the pitch and yaw control functions. On your TV screens, the simulation of the flight, the separation of SS1 will follow the ignition of second stage.
कुछ ही क्षणों में द्वितीय चरण का प्रज्वलन हो, प्रथम चरण को पृथक कर दिया जाएगा.
Second stage ignited. First stage separated. 2C separated.
द्वितीय चरण का प्रज्वलन शुरू हो चुका है और प्रथम चरण को सफलतापूर्वक पृथक कर दिया गया है.
The second stage of the rocket has commenced its operation and the first stage has been separated.
Performance normal.
Burn time for SS2 is 124 seconds.
Welcome back after the break. That very contentious Hubli Eidgah Maidan once again in the news. Hubli Dharwad Municipal Corporation has decided to rename the Eidgah Maidan to Kittur Rani Chennamma grounds. Now, this decision has been received with a lot of backlash from the Congress and the AIMIM opposing the move. This decision was actually taken during a resolution in August 2022, and now the HDMC has invited objections, suggestions, criticism and more feedback on this move, to which Congress and other parties have absolutely slammed it. Congress has has called it a part of BJP's strategy to divert people's attention from the important issues that plague the state. Meanwhile, the municipal corporation denied any political angle and said that the step was taken keeping in mind the emotions of the local people. The Hubli Dharwad Municipal Corporation has asked people to file any objections to the proposal within 30 days. Remember, in November last year, the mayor of HDMC directed the commissioner to rename the disputed Eidgah Maidan. This will be renamed to the name of Kittur Rani Chennamma Maidan. Now, this is after the Queen of Kittur. Remember, she was an activist. She was a fighter against the British rule. She even took on the East India Company in 1824. So they want to rename it to that. Let's take a look at the kind of reactions that came into this.
ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಇದು ಆಗಸ್ಟಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದು. ನಿಮಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋ ಹಾಗೆ ಆಗಸ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಚುನಾವಣೆ ಕಾವು ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆವಾಗ ಇನ್ನೂ ಏನು ನಾವು ಚುನಾವಣೆಗೂ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ಚುನಾವಣೆ ಪ್ರೇರಿತವಾಗಿ ಇದನ್ನು ನಡೀತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇದೇನಿದ್ರೂ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಾರ್ವಜನಿಕ ಅಹವಾಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರೋದು. ಮತ್ತು ಸಾರ್ವಜನಿಕರು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಒಂದು ಆ ಥರ ಚೆನ್ನಮ್ಮ ಇದನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ವೃತ್ತವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಎಲ್ಲರದ್ದು ಡಿಮಾಂಡು ಮತ್ತು ಅಹವಾಲನ್ನ ಸ್ವೀಕಾರ ಮಾಡೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೇಯರ್ ಅವರು ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸದಸ್ಯರೂ ಕೂಡಿ ಒಂದು ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದು, ಟರಾವ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು.
ಹೆಸರು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೊಂಟಾರ, ಬಟ್ ಏನೂ ಇದು ವರ್ಕೌಟ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಹುಬ್ಳಿ ಧಾರವಾಡದಾಗ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಅದಾವೆ. ಕುಡಿಯೋ ನೀರಿನ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಅದಾವೆ, ರೋಡಿನ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಅದಾವೆ, ಭಾಳಷ್ಟು. ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾವು ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಮಂದಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಸರ್? ಮಂದಿ ಈ ಸಲ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಪಾಠ ಕಲಿಸ್ತಾರೆ ಸರ್.
Joined by my colleague Akshra, who brings us the latest on this. Akshra, while the HDMC says that this is being done on the demands of the local people, this renaming, on the other hand, they're being accused of scratching what is now a healing wound.
Well, yes, the Congress and AIMIM have clearly opposed this move and are stating that the BJP is going around all over the country doing this, changing names, and also they have stated that recently Mughal Gardens were changed, name was changed into another name, and right now the same is being done here as well. They are also stating that many developmental works which need to be carried out. There are no drinking water facilities and many other facilities which need to be fulfilled for the people of this region, but the ruling BJP government or the municipal corporation there is clearly focusing on such issues in this poll-bound state. So that's the opposition coming from the Congress and AIMIM there. But the HDMC deputy mayor is seen stating that this is being done by taking people's people into consideration, and it's they are the ones who are requested to change the name from the Eidgah Maidan to Rani Chennamma, Kittur Rani Chennamma name. So this is what the HDMC, the Hubli Dharwad Municipal Corporation, is saying right now.
Thank you very much, Akshra, for bringing us up to date with what's taking place with regards to that renaming. On that note, we're going to a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Along with the spent stage mass, velocity trimming module and the satellites.
अभी यान का कोस्ट फेज जारी है. यान पूरी तरीके से निर्धारित पथ का अनुकरण करता हुआ अपनी उद्दिष्ट कक्षा की ओर बढ़ रहा है. इस यान में आजादी सेट एक क्यूब सेट है जिसका भार 8 केजी है. इसे 75 फेम्टो एक्सपेरिमेंट्स के लिए विभिन्न नितभार हैं. इन नितभारों को स्पेस किड्स इंडिया द्वारा एकीकृत किया गया है. इसमें UHF, VHF फ्रीक्वेंसी बैंड ट्रांसपॉन्डर्स लगे हुए हैं जो कि ध्वनि तथा डेटा दोनों के प्रेषण में सक्षम हैं. तृतीय चरण को पृथक कर दिया गया है. यह अंतिम तंत्र वेलोसिटी ट्रिमिंग मॉड्यूल यह यान को अंतिम